Mystic Michaela spiritual family. Welcome to Know Your Aura with Mystic Michaela. Today, do you find it hard to get along with certain types of people? Well, we can't always choose the people in our life, but we can try to figure out how to deal with them based on their aura color combination. Today, we are talking about logic aura color combos and how to get along with them. Maybe it's that coworker. Maybe it's your uncle. Maybe it's the neighbor. We can give you some tips in aura color how to deal with these people. But first, hey, Scotty.
Hey, guys. Well, I noticed in the notes here that the first combo are the reds.
Notice in the notes, I start
with
red-blue.
Red-blue is the first combo.
I have so many tips for you all.
You just talked about how to get along with, because they're annoying or whatever, and then it's red-blue.
I know red,
You know red-blue.
Like when people are like, tell me things about red or, like, I get that all the time.
Right.
And I got you.
You could do that
I got
in your sleep.
In my sleep.
In your sleep.
Yeah.
I think the red-blue is the easiest combo to get along with, but that's just me. I could be wrong on that. All right. So just for quick reference, if you go back to episode 295, we did this a few weeks ago. We went through all the logic color combos to help you try to figure out, the person in your life that you want to know.
The identifying features.
Right. And we know that the listeners of the show could do for one. You can get one color in every one.
Yes.
But we really are trying to help you get to two. And then we also did the tricolor last week.
You guys.
And that's
you guys,
tough.
this is like honors course aura stuff here.
I got so many DMs about how seen they felt with the tricolor.
Oh, I love that.
They love, that they understand the tornado or
hurricane,
or whatever you call it.
Yeah, the tricolor tornado.
Tornado, yeah.
I noticed with the Mystic Michaela spiritual family, they love specificity. They like give me the details.
Yes.
Like give them to me. Do not hold back.
It's true. They asked for it. I thought I was hesitant. I told you guys last week I was hesitant, but they this is what they want.
They love a layer.
We give them what they want.
Yes, of course.
We give you guys what you want.
That's what we do.
All right. Getting along with reds.
Let's talk about red. We're going to do the red combos and how to get along with them.
Okay.
That's how. And just for reference, we have to pretend that these people that we're trying to get along with are, for the most part, like okay people. Like, you know what I mean? Like these people we're talking about today, they definitely don't know what auras are or their aura color, and they might not be as self-aware as you are. Maybe they don't go to therapy. Maybe they haven't journaled ever. Maybe they don't take nature walks. You know what I mean? Like maybe they don't do that. They don't listen to podcasts like this. So, but they're not like inherently awful people. Okay. So I just have to, because there's always, the extremes.
Right.
We have to talk about like basically a normal person who's probably just not, self-reflecting a whole ton about themselves. So let's talk about red auras. Because honestly, when I did the notes for this episode, it was the neighbor, you know what I mean? Who's like, oh my God, that person you have to see at work or whatever. It's like that person. Okay. So reds in general, they're very strong-willed. They definitely don't like to explain themselves. They do not like to explain themselves. They're like, well, this is what we're doing. It's like, why? It's like, whoa, why are you trying to control me? Like that. True. So they don't like to explain themselves when it doesn't make sense for them to, have to explain. They have really big opinions. They know their own minds. I would say they know their own minds in spite of themselves. I notice with red auras, like they have to think something. It's almost like they have to make a decision and stick with it. And it's like, they don't like to be in indecision. I feel like because reds inherently don't like to feel out of control. So even if you're like, hey, waffles or pancakes, they're like, waffles. And they never took the time in that moment to be like, hey, you know what? Maybe today I like pancakes, What is a pancake anyway? Like, why not? Like, why can't I? Like, they don't like to even have a moment of reflection. So sometimes they'll choose the same thing over and over and over again just because that's what they do. So they have a hard time with adaptability and change in these ways.
This is true. Hey, I just want to say,
I
usually get the breakfast combo.
Okay.
When I go out, waffle, eggs, bacon.
Right.
Okay. Sometimes I do switch to pancakes.
Yeah.
It's hard.
But you've done so much reflecting in life.
But I have done a lot of
You have, and you've done a lot of work.
To change the waffle to the pancake.
Yes, and obviously this is a huge metaphor for other things.
Of course.
But, I've just got to keep it simple.
All right.
Also, they love to lead. They like to be the leader. They like to be in charge. They get really nervous if they're not in charge. Okay, so red blues. We're going to talk about red blues first, and then we'll talk about red indigos. But let's start with red blues. Red blue auras, they do tend to want to do the right thing. They tend to feel like, okay, if I say this, then this has to be the final say and what we're going with. So I noticed with red blues, one of the big problems is, and this would only come up if, for example, it's like, you know, a mother or father in the family, like somebody who makes decisions, or a boss. I get that a lot. Is that when you're like, hey, can we do a different idea? Or, hey, can I suggest other alternatives to what you suggested, you know, to what your plan is? They get extremely stubborn about their plan. So, and I don't know if this is like healthy or not, but my tactic for dealing with this, like how do you deal with a red blue, is it's all in the delivery. They get defensive very quickly. So if you and that's why red blues actually do really well with like double empath auras, for example, and red blues have a harder time with other logic color combos, especially yellows. So it's a lot of it is like just how you frame it or phrase it. So again, unfortunately, if you have to deal with them, you're the one that might have to make the concessions in this. So you might have to go up to them and be like, hey, you know, your idea is so great. You know, get laid on thick. I just have the suggestion. And you know what? And then bring your own feelings into it. Be like, I don't know. I feel like I'd like to try it for myself. You know, so bring it around to it's something that you want to do. And then also hand it back to them. This is an experience you could give me and I'll be super thankful for it. You know? Okay. So it's kind of like, flattery goes a long way with a red blue.
How would you not come at a red blue?
You would not be like, your idea was wrong. Okay. You wouldn't be like, this doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
You wouldn't be like, that's incorrect. We tried that last quarter and that was absolutely a disaster.
Okay.
Everything I just said was probably like true.
Right.
But the way that they hear it is like control.
Okay. And
disrespect. And depending on how insecure they are inside or whatever, they immediately like put up an armor. And that's just, and I made them sound like jerky. They're not jerky. They're just a little bit used to being in charge and the person that usually takes the brunt of the failure for any decisions. So a lot of times with red blues is like if something happens and it didn't work out, they blame themselves. So they don't like anybody else's ideas.
Okay.
Because it's like, listen, if this falls apart, it's on me. Even if it's not on them. That's the thing. Even if it's like hey, this isn't like your gig. You don't have to take all the ownership for the failure here. They will. So and remember, they're not thinking a whole lot about this process in their own head. So you have to kind of understand that when you bring something to them, you have to incorporate it with their own plan and integrate it within their own thinking and logic for them to like receive it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. What if, let's say a red blue and you're red blue. So you're interacting with yourself basically.
Okay.
Do you kind of just go at it head on?
Usually they'll size each other up pretty quick. And they'll usually like logic. And again, these are like normal people that don't have issues or whatever. They would kind of size each other up and then like find a way not to step on each other's toes.
Yeah, I think I definitely do that with because I could tell another red guy at this point. I can tell which guys are red. And sometimes I even will see myself in certain situations like being more subservient.
Okay.
You know,
you can just tell like somebody else wants to do it more. Yeah. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Red blue women, you know, which they're not a ton of red blue women. And usually red blue women, it's interesting. They're quieter than the men. All the same things I talked about. They're just because they're women and society, you know, has kicked them in the gut enough to make them more sensitive to being subservient, which is kind of sad but true. They're all these same things. They're just quieter and they're better. They are better listeners, but all the same things I just said like apply to them, but they're not as like aggressive in the kickback. So they get defensive and all like everything I just said. It's just they're going to take a minute. They're going to take a beat and deal with it in a different way.
Okay. All right. What about red indigo?
Everything I said about red blues, but red indigos are more reclusive because the indigo tends to lead it. I normally see red indigos acting from a more emotional space. So when you're red blue, you can kind of take the blue and push it to the side. So actually red blues are very emotional. They'll just never like understand they're acting so much on emotion. Like that's their whole thing with needing to lead or be in charge or take the brunt of the failure. They're big protectors and caretakers, but then they rely on their more, you know, red aura, you know, the louder part of them to kind of assertive to deal with all that. Red indigos can't really compartmentalize the indigo part. So they are very sensitive, very big feelings. I don't usually actually see them all the time in leadership positions unless it's for the greater good. Like I'll see like a red indigo non-for-profit type person or some sort of, something for change or a lot of social change stuff with the red indigos. But they tend to work more solitary. And I notice that a lot of the way they express themselves or lead will come out with like writing or media or some other way where they can really put all their words out there, but they don't have to do it so face to face. But they will stand behind everything they say. And they do have a tougher shell than other indigo combinations, but they just seem more reclusive and less into, because red blues are very into teamwork, I meant to say. Red indigos aren't as much into teamwork. Okay. So that's kind of the difference. So how do you deal with a red indigo? They're very sensitive. They will listen a lot. They take a minute to think before they have their opinion, where red blues are more knee-jerk reactive. So how do you deal with a red indigo? You have to understand that they are very quiet at first and they're really contemplating it. They're very deep and they feel very sensitively.
Okay. And I know I've asked this 100 times. Oh. Has my blue ever turned to indigo?
Oh.
Never, right?
No, like when you're in a bad spot, your blue just gets like dark and murky.
Okay. It never gets indigo. It never went to indigo.
They'll die on that card. Like they will do anything, shirt off their backs. They just come across because they're very passionate. Yeah. And they're like, I will do this, like Braveheart style, like that. But, like inside, they're very like, they see themselves like is very sensitive and everything touches them very hard. They just tend to act it out in a way where you're like, really? Like,
I think we want to do like the right thing.
Yeah.
Maybe the problem is sometimes like, it's just how we think it's the right thing.
Yeah.
And that's the problem of the red.
You get really stuck on, but this is the right thing.
Right.
And then it's hard to see other perspectives.
Yeah.
That's why it works so well with reds to come at them with your own emotional experience. They can hear that. And they do want to protect that in you.
Yeah.
As long as you own it yourself like that.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what about the difference between the red blues, red indigos, and the red purples?
Red purples are powerhouses.
Powerhouses.
They really are. So red purple men, I have to do red purple men versus red purple women real quick. Both charming. Red purple men are very See, it's hard to be a red purple woman because you have these traits that society will deem as masculine when it's just because you're kind of schmoozy and charming and you're somebody who is, you don't play games. And I think that's I'll start with red purple women. I think that red purple women it's hard when you're dealing with a red purple woman who doesn't really understand herself. You might be like, oh my gosh, she's not playing games, or she's too direct, or she's not, because they don't do all that society stuff. They work better with men usually because a lot of times other women don't get along with the red purples. And I see this all the time because they don't, we even see this with our oldest, like there's all these things going on all the time. All these like, well, she didn't call you first, so you can't call her. Well, there's all these like women, the way women have relationships. Red purples are like, I don't care. I don't care that she didn't invite me yesterday. I'm still inviting her. That's so stupid.
Okay.
And then like everybody else can be like, oh my gosh, but she's taking advantage of you. She's manipulating you. And our red purple kid's like, but I don't give a crap. Like, who cares? She's fun to hang out with. I don't care that she talked about me yesterday. Like, I don't care. So red purple women can be seen as not always like fitting into a group or fitting into like the women hierarchy or those emotional kind of nuances. They sense them, but they don't care. So a lot of times red purple women will end up being, in the boys clubs.
Okay.
They're the CEOs, they're playing with the big boys, they're making the deals, they're out there.
So if you're another woman, let's say, maybe it's a little bit easier for the men.
Yeah.
If you're another woman, what are some tips to maybe deal with this red purple woman in your life that you're struggling with?
Expect it straight with her. Like come at her straight and expect her to give it to you straight. That's a big thing with red purples.
And what if you're like a double empath and you're a little scared?
Yes.
You're a little scared.
They don't know.
Purple indigo, let's say.
Yeah, because purple women don't always know how assertive they are.
Right.
So they're like, why are you crying? Like, what's the problem? Well, just tell me. Like, I don't care. They can be like very like that. And you have to say like, hey, again, it's back to the red owning your experience. Like, I'm feeling really stressed right now. I'm feeling very overwhelmed. I'd love your help on this. I'd love your feedback. I'm going to sit down with you and this is my experience I'm having. And and you're really great. You do have to flatter the reds. Here I go again. You have to, you're really great at like sorting things out, and you're great at kind of seeing things, you're a great sounding board for me. Could you pay attention to some of my concerns like that? Right. And they're like, oh yeah, help you? Of course. Cause like reds love to help you, like with problem solving if they feel like they're being heard and listened to. Okay. So you got to just kind of come at them in that way. Okay. Because red purples, they just, especially the women, they're not going to play the mind reading game, Yeah. Like you being meek or like, I didn't invite her. Maybe she'll notice now. She did or didn't. She doesn't care. That's not going to work. Okay.
Yeah. Cause I can see just some indigos, let's say, a double empath. Yeah. Indigo, just running away. Like not even dealing with a red blue or a red purple sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think with the red purple with the women, it can be a little bit like, they are feeling left out a lot. Yeah. Like why, and also like, why did that insult you? Like, cause purples are very mic drop, truth, and reds are very assertive. So put that together and they're very blunt. Right. But again, sometimes they don't always have the reflection. Sometimes like reds, like I said, they will pick something, stick to it, and not always reflect. So they can be a little bit too knee-jerk reactive at time. But they back up and they will own it. I'll tell you this, red purples apologize when they need to. They accept your apologies. They do get over things. Red purple men, honestly, they're very charming. And usually they get away with a lot. So if there's a red purple you have to deal with, a big thing is just have fun with them. Like they want to laugh, they want to joke, they don't want life to be that feeling of, if I want something, I'll get it. It's cool, like whatever. And they can let the right thing slide and kind of visualize the right thing. So if sometimes they come across as aloof or a little bit like player or a little bit schmoozy like that. And the thing is that's just, they love attention. Red purple guys love attention, and they love attention from old ladies, and they love attention from everybody, like, and pretty girls, and they love attention from whatever. So they don't care who's talking to them. They love that somebody's paying attention to me. This is so great.
Even old men.
Yeah. They 100%. They love attention from old guys. They love attention. So let's say this is your neighbor who's like really bugging the crap out of you because he's not taking his Christmas lights down and it's February. You got to go up to him and just make a joke or have fun with him or be like, do you need me to take these down for you, dude? Like that. And just like have fun or whatever. He's going to like that a lot better because you came at him in a cool, fun way rather than a letter from someone like I sent him a letter and he's going to be like, oh my God, I am ripping that up.
That sounds a little yellow of sending the letter.
Yeah. Well, that's how a yellow might deal with it. So you got a letter. Why didn't you do anything?
So we'll take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll deal with the yellows.
Skincare is my favorite thing. I just love it so much. I really do. And our new sponsor, OneSkin, has been so cool to try out and play with the last couple of weeks. If you want to get started somewhere, the OS1 Face and the OS1 Eye, oh my gosh, the amount of hydration and firmness in my skin I have been experiencing is astounding to me. And they sell it as a best sellers bundle on their website. I highly recommend. And guess what? You get 15% off OneSkin with the code KYA at oneskin.co/KYA. I have very sensitive skin, and I love that it's dermatologist tested. It's fragrance free. It's safe for my sensitive skin. I use the OS1 Face and the OS1 Eye in the evening and in the morning. And I love that it's powered by the OS1 peptide. And what is the OS1 peptide? It is the first peptide proven to reduce cellular senescence, a key driver of aging in the skin and hair. So do this for yourself. Get 15% off OneSkin with the code KYA at oneskin.co/KYA. You won't be sorry you did. Hey, Scotty.
Hey, guys. All right. So let's move on to the yellows. Getting along with yellows. Yeah. Now, this is the color that I probably sometimes have the hardest dealing with.
You love your MMSF yellows.
Yeah, of course. It's more like I have like a system. Yeah. This is all just this.
Here's your insight for red and yellow interactions.
Yeah, this will just confirm that I'm red. And everything I do on like paper. I write all the like everything is on papers.
Yeah.
So everything, my schedule's on papers. Yeah. Everything's on papers. Nothing. There obviously I know that there's an easier way to do this. You get like some weird spreadsheet on Google or whatever.
Yeah, reds have their own system of organization.
Yeah, my
usually
system,
it's on paper.
I mean, our entire life financially is on a file card.
Right.
Okay, it's all written in my hand scratch. A yellow would look at that and be, "Are you insane?"
Right.
And they would try to get me to move over to like all the programs and apps that they have these days to make this, much easier to do.
Sure.
But here's the problem. My system works and it works great. And I'm never changing the system.
Right.
And if a yellow comes along, they're going to try to tell them and they're going to try to sell it to me.
Right.
And they'd be right. The thing is, they probably are right.
Oh, yeah, they're right.
But it's not right for me.
Right. Okay.
So let's go to yellow blues.
Well, I think that's good because I think yellows in general, they do like to have a system. And they always think that possibly their way is a correct way. Something they share with greens, which we'll get to later. And they're like, well, this makes sense because it just does, and if you, and they don't mind learning. That's the other thing. Yellow auras don't mind learning something new. They're actually okay with, oh, I just got this brand new app. I can't wait to sit down and take the YouTube course on it. It's like, okay, like yellows will do that. A lot of other people won't. Or I read this book about how to work this new software. Like they're, so yellows don't mind learning. And yellows do ask a ton of questions in general. That's the other thing. I think yellows in general might be misinterpreted or harder to get along with or perceived that way because they do ask a ton of questions. They don't always answer all your questions 100%, but they also do like to lead the projects. Like the kid that did the group project who took over in school was probably a yellow. Like when you were in class, that probably was a little yellow kid that was like, oh my God, you all stink. I'm doing the whole thing, like that. Okay, but let's talk about yellow blues and we'll talk about yellow indigos. So yellow blues. I think what makes yellow blues the most difficult to deal with is that they don't speak up for themselves. They'll like suffer in absolute silence. So if you have a yellow blue family member, in particular, let's start there. Like let's say a yellow blue family member. It's like, you didn't tell me you needed me to bring this side, or you didn't tell me that it was a bad weekend for you to host the barbecue, like just tell me, like they'll never tell you. They'll just sit there and do it. And you go there and you're like, oh my gosh, speak up or say something. They just won't do, and they wouldn't even occur to them to do that. And when you're working with a yellow blue, for example, sometimes they just keep saying yes to everything and they take on a lot of stuff and you don't always know what they're thinking, and it's hard to get it out of them. So I feel like with yellow blues, it's like, it's hard to connect. It feels like it's hard to connect or hard to get close to them because they're in a bubble of independence and they always feel like they don't want to burden people by asking for help, even when it's reasonable to. Yellow indigos, very much like the yellow blues, except yellow indigos, again, every time indigo reclusive, just know that it's like everything with the yellow, but more reclusive. And yellow indigos will kind of, take a more ghosting approach to things. So all of a sudden it's like, yeah, maybe it's your coworker. It's like, we're working on this project and then they stopped and they're not communicating with us. And what's going on? Like, where is this person? Because they might take the more indigo approach of flight. Like they're just gone when they don't want to deal with anything more. I think yellow indigos also, they're really great at hearing problems or hearing situations and great at giving advice and great at helping others in a very analytical way. But they can again, with the connecting, now it's your turn. You know what I mean? Like, you tell me what's going on, like lean on me too. So I feel like when there's things with yellow indigos going on, they get mysterious or they disappear, which is mostly just the indigo doing it. And you won't really hear from them.
Okay. So how do you combat that? So like, let's say you do have a yellow and you don't really, it's hard to yellow blue or yellow indigo and you don't really know how they think, or you're kind of like not sure of it. Cause like you're a red, right? Let's say I'm coming at it.
Right.
And you just want to know.
Like, did I insult you?
Yeah.
Like, are you upset?
Do you not want me to come over? Do you want me to come over?
Yeah. Is this personal?
Right. So how do you, or any color, I guess, how do you deal with that?
It's hard because it's almost like you need to get close to them emotionally enough for them to kind of spill to you. But if that's like an inappropriate relationship, like they're a coworker or a neighbor or something,
Right.
you don't want to get that close to them, you know, and it would be weird. Then it's kind of, you know, you just have to kind of just like shrug about it. Like, okay, whatever. Like, you know,
So
that's on them.
Kind of more like the red purple thing.
Yeah, well, I think with the yellow blues and yellow indigos, if you're not that close to them, you know, because again, this is the getting along with episode with people that, you know, you
Right.
have to get along with
Right.
in your life, not necessarily want them around. Right. You would have to kind of, I think from my double empath perspective, like I know something's wrong. I feel it.
Do, right?
Yeah, but a lot of us listening know what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
when you know something's up with somebody and they're not flipping telling you and it just starts crawling on you and you're like, it's like, you got to let it go. You're probably right, but you're not, just don't like let go the need for confirmation on it. And just take it at face value, you know, and maybe follow up a couple times like, hey, let me know if this is too much, please. Let me know. You know, open communication, you know, if you put it out there and then if they still don't do it, be like, that's on you now.
Right.
Even though you might know that you are putting too much on their plate or they said yes and they don't want to, or they're showing up and they don't want to, or whatever it is, that's on them now. And even though you feel it, it doesn't mean you need to own it.
Okay. And just know that let's say you have some, I don't know, let's just make up something, a dirty lawn ornament on, you know, out.
5 feet.
Right.
And they should be 4 1/4 feet. And like they don't know that they're the only ones that know that. You know, like they don't know that everybody else doesn't care, but they care and they see it. We used to live across the street. This story from a yellow lady and they were very nice and stuff. And then my dad's green. And my dad's the type of green like where when he mows the lawn, if it's on the lawn, it's getting mowed. Like he did not rake. There's 2 types of green. This is like, he was like, I'm mowing the lawn. Because he had it in his head that if you mulch leaves, it's better for the lawn. And he had a whole green reason. But across the street, she would tell me, she was so yellow. And she's like, why doesn't your dad rake? Why don't you rake? And then like one day she was like, we're all going to come over, her family. We're all going to come over and rake for you. And it's like, we're not raking, lady. We are I'm purple. We're never raking. My mom's purple. We don't care. And we're not raking, you know, but this yellow, like, you know, she was just like watching, like, why are they raking? Like that.
Okay.
Anyways.
So just know.
Yeah.
That, I guess if you live in a neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be some yellow.
Oh, there's a yellow leering at you.
That is secretly very, very annoyed with you.
Oh, they're leering.
And the good news being a red blue, you wouldn't know it.
You wouldn't know.
But maybe if you're a double empath, you kind of feel it. You kind of feel it.
Why does neighbor Nancy like give me bad, nasty looks?
Right. And I would just be like, I don't think she's doing that. That would be the difference between us. You'd be saying she's giving
you'd be like, no, she's not. I'd be like, no, she is.
Our yard is perfect.
She's giving me a dirty look. It's like my grass is like way longer than it should be. I'm like, that is so weird.
All right.
Okay,
yellow purple.
Yellow purples. Why are yellow purples? How do you deal with the yellow purple? Okay, poor yellow purple. We're doing double empath colors next week, so like we're not loading it on the logic.
Right. Yeah.
You know, just so you know. I think like yellow purples get misconstrued because they're very, I call it the scan. Like when you see a yellow purple, it's almost like imperceptible, but they'll do it and pay attention. They'll kind of look you up and down, you know, energetically. They're like, they don't mean to. They're just taking it in. They take in everything, like every detail. Yellows are always very detail oriented and don't miss a thing. But yellow purples with the purple influence use it as some sort of like intuitive exercise. So they'll look you up and down. They'll be like, and then like notice like 8 things that you're wearing and then be like, she's having problems at home with her husband. Like that, like in their head. The other, but during that scan, you can be like, I'm going to use the word Nancy. I'm going to use the name Nancy this entire time. Like, is Nancy like judgy? Is she judging me? Every time I'm around her, I feel so judged, you know? And so you might pick up that scan and be like, oh my God, maybe she is judging you. I mean, she might be or not, you know, but you're going to feel it. And that's why they're kind of hard to deal with. I feel like if you know that that's happening, it's less stressful. I think another thing with yellow purples is they do take a minute to process what they think into an appropriate emotive response. So if you're like, my dog died, they might be like, and it's your coworker and Nancy like hears that your dog just died. She might just be like blank face, like, oh, sorry. and like that, oh, sorry, might be actually a very effusive thing for her to say. That might be for her like, oh my gosh, like a poem was just written for you. But in that moment, that's what she could get out, because they just have like a big filter with the yellow before the purple kind of does its thing. So it can be hard to deal with them because you feel like, are they being cold? Are they judging me? They don't always feel like the warm people you want to tell something to, so that can be a problem.
Okay. So let me ask you, so you said earlier the yellow blue kind of keeps it to themselves.
Yes.
The yellow purple maybe would come off more like braggy a little. Was that true?
Okay,
or no?
That's true too. Yes.
Or
yellow
like,
purples can come off as braggy, I guess. And so if they're not self-aware,
right.
I'm not saying, by the way, this isn't every yellow purple.
No, right.
I'm just saying like hard to deal with ones.
Yeah.
They can come off like, oh, look, my boyfriend got me. Oh, I'm going to this weekend. Oh, I went to that. Like they like things and experiences, and they enjoy talking about them. So like Okay.
So let's say you get this yellow purple, you're sitting with them and they're just talking on and on about how great their life is and their boyfriend's the best boyfriend in the world and they just took a trip, etc.
Yeah.
What do you do? How do you deal?
That's hard. If you have to deal with them.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah. That's the whole thing. Yeah. You're in a situation you have to deal with them.
And again, this isn't like a friend where you can be like, just level with them.
Right. Yeah.
So this is like somebody like you're like, oh my God. Like honestly, just limit your time. I mean, it just know that this is what they do to kind of make themselves feel better at how they look on paper.
Okay.
So sometimes like an unself-aware yellow purple can put together their life and use you as their vision board they're sticking it on. So you're sitting there and you're like, are you just using me so you can like know how great everything sounds? Like out loud? Like instead of talking to yourself, you're talking to me about it, And then my reactions fortify your self-esteem, and if you feel that way, just like, oh my God, I gotta go, or whatever. Try to limit your time with them because but that is a thing that they're doing. It really has nothing to do with trying to make you feel bad.
Right.
It's not personal. It's just like probably they're putting their vision board together as they speak to you.
Right. Or if you're a competitive red, you're probably just going to kind of go, point for point.
If you got two yellow purples, and I've seen this happen, and it is
two yellow
fascinating.
Red purples.
Well, I've seen like this happen in mom world.
Yeah.
Like with, they both have a 2-year-old and it's like, who's smarter?
Right.
And it is like to watch two unself-aware yellow purple people talk about how their 2-year-olds are both, which one's the more genius, is like the absolute most. I just grabbed popcorn. I'm like, whoa, point for Nancy.
Yeah.
Nancy she just owned her.
Yeah.
Her kid knows what a triangle is. So it's like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's funny. That is funny. All right. That's really funny. All right. Let's go on to yellow pinks.
Poor yellow pinks. They're just out there trying to be aesthetic.
Yeah.
And everyone just takes it the wrong way.
People just take them the wrong way.
They're just out there living their Malibu Barbie dreams. And they can be hard to, I think like yellow pinks who are a little unself-aware, they don't care. That's the first thing. And you pick that up. Like, oh, she doesn't care. And she doesn't. Because she's in her own Barbie land. And then I think with yellow pinks, they can be hard to deal with because it might take a couple clicks for them to come back out of their joy bubble to realize what you're saying. So if you're like, hey, we have to do this project or let somebody you work with, or, can you take over my shift or, whatever it is, like I'm doing coworker stuff. They might be like, what? Like you might see them like landing back on Earth from whatever planet they were on. And you have to see them land and walk out of the capsule and be like, what? Like that. And so it can be frustrating to feel like you're not part of their bubble.
Okay.
And that can be hard to deal with. Like, oh my God, I guess I'm not part of your bubble. Wow. Ouch.
So what if you want to get into their bubble?
Yellow pinks just talk about what they want to talk about. Okay. They'll bring you in. And they're probably doing something fun. So you can be like, well, what is that? And if you just want, you got to do what they want to do. It's kind of like playing with a 6-year-old. Like just if you sit down to play Barbies with a 6-year-old, they will give you the doll and tell you which one you're being. And if you say the wrong thing, what do they say? No, he doesn't talk like that. He talks like this.
Right.
Right. So yellow pinks are very similar.
Okay.
You know, they're like, oh, no, you're not going to wear that. You're going to wear this, and you're going to sit here, and we're leaving it too.
Okay.
You know, because they're organized.
So there's two ways you can go about this. The one way you can go about it is be like, stop doing that.
Right.
We're going to, you know, do it this way.
Yeah.
The more societal way.
Right.
Or you could just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to join you
right.
and be goofy with you.
Right. I think like when you're dealing with them and you have to deal with them, they're easier if you just take the time to do it their way. It could be rewarding.
Okay.
Although you might not be as productive if it's like something that needs to be productive.
All right, this combo I have always found interesting.
Yes.
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because they seem so opposite.
Yeah.
Because like you got the turquoise who we always say are going to go live in a van and live off the grid for 2 months of their life at some point.
Yeah.
And then you got the yellow who we always talk about their closets perfectly organized.
Yes.
So what happens when you put this yellow and turquoise together?
You get like a wellness person. Like yellow turquoises live in like totally normal houses, but then you walk in and they're like saging you. And then you go sit down and you're eating like would you like a wheatgrass shot? You know, like that.
Is it an organized sage? Like we're going to start with the foot and then get up to the head.
I think they're very organized with the way that they're turquoise. So usually their belief system has a lot to do with the woo-woo / spirituality / like wellness world. So they're very much against, you know, all this stuff, which isn't bad. It's just like no chemicals, or they're very into they're yellow in the way that they approach it. So they're research based on, well, this is why we don't use these chemicals, or this is why we don't eat this type of food, or this is why, you know, we are taking these vitamins, or like whatever. They're kind of usually on top of the fringe wellness practices that have not made mainstream at all yet, and usually aren't super backed. But a lot of times they have some sort of organic nature to them, or earth-based nature. So they're just organized about the woo-woo. It's like organized woo-woo. Okay. So that's what they look like. But why can they be difficult to deal with? I think like they can make you feel, how do I put this? The ones I see out there, like the more influencer-y ones, like, because a lot of them end up being like kind of influencers in a lot of ways, or they're working in like nutrition, or they're working in like areas where they're telling you how to live differently.
Okay.
It can appear preachy if they're not grounded enough. So it can be, they just get very stuck on their points. Like they believe what they're saying, you know, and to the point where they can get very passionate about it, to the point where they can make other people like, you know, you don't know everything, or, you know, kind of come at them a bit, because they can get a little bit like high on their horse in some way. The ones that aren't self-aware, I'm talking about, you know, and they can really be like, this is the way to do it. And then they can start saying like, and everybody else is wrong, you know.
So how do you deal with something like that? Because, you know, if you come at them, they're going to tell you, no, I'm right. Right. So there's
usually you want to avoid these conversations with them if you can, you know, and again, these are people that we don't want to deal with, but we have to. So if it's somebody you don't want to deal with, but you have to, just like choose your conversations with them. If they start getting on you about it, it's time to just, I mean, I'm very non-confrontational. So like, that's always my thing. Like,
say, okay, that sounds great.
That's cool. I'll take that recipe. Where yellow turquoises who are unself-aware can also be hard to deal with, because they try to impose their beliefs onto you with a superiority.
Okay.
I mean, and again, these are usually like it's like they take the woo-woo and the wellness and they treat it the way like other people treat like religion or something, and you're just like, or politics, and they just kind of get on you about it.
Right. So it's a little bit of a tricky color to deal with if they're not aware.
I mean, I guess like how I deal with yellow turquoises, the ones that again aren't self-aware, not like MMSF ones, like where we all get ourselves. The ones that you have to deal with, but they don't know they're yellow turquoise. It's just like, oh, that's really cool. Like they always have something to say that's interesting, so I'll listen. But if they start getting I just don't like when they get like preachy or mean or rude about it. Yeah. So then I'm a disengager. I'm like, okay, that's great. And I just
indigo way. All
right.
Yeah.
I'm very, yes. All my approach tactics might be indigo too. Yeah. That's the other thing. You might be, and indigo tells you how to deal with all these people.
Right. Which is basically flatter them.
Yeah. Flatter them or run away.
Tell them they're right.
Tell them, that's great. Okay. Ask for the recipe and then like run away.
All right. Let's do a quick break. We'll come back and we're going to go with the greens.
the other night, my daughter had dance. My other daughter was stuck in her room studying for a really big test. My husband had an HOA meeting, and I wanted to prepare for the podcast. Bottom line, I did not have time to cook a healthy meal. And our sponsor, Nurture Life, has made serving healthy meals much easier for me and much more enjoyable for my kids every night, and especially the busy ones. This podcast is sponsored by Nurture Life. Nurture Life is a meal delivery service that makes nutritious meals and snacks your kids actually will want to eat. Nurture Life's whole menu is perfect for kids ages 10 months to 10 years old. Their fresh meals and snacks are delicious, nutritious, and fully cooked. That means they are ready to serve in just 1 minute. Nurture Life lets kids enjoy a healthy, nutritionally balanced diet while still eating all their favorites like mac and cheese, spaghetti and meatballs, and much more. So parents can be sure there's always a healthy meal that their little ones will love. That's why Nurture Life is the top meal delivery service for babies and kids, and is even allergy friendly too. We love all their meals. The corn dogs are especially a big hit around here. I even sneak a few. And it's really simple with Nurture Life. You choose from more than 50 nutritious meals and snacks on their menu, from finger foods for babies and toddlers to kids meals for older kids. And then Nurture Life does the cooking for you, and the fresh meals are delivered straight to your door in refrigerated packaging. So head to nurturelife.com/KYA and use code KYA for 55% off your first order plus free shipping. That's right, 55% off plus free shipping. Once again, that's nurturelife.com/KYA. And make sure you use my promo code KYA. Even if you aren't a parent with young kids, you might have a parent friend who struggles with mealtime. Make sure to share our code so our show gets the credit. Thank you so much for that. Remember, put your little ones first with healthy meals from Nurture Life. Hey, Scotty.
Hey, guys. All right, let's go to the greens. Well, thank goodness I have a green accountant.
Oh, yes.
Because, as I said earlier, all my financials are on papers. I write everything
Right.
down. Come tax season, I'm giving this guy just I'm probably the only person that gives him loose leaf paper with,
Right.
deductions and
Yeah.
whatever on there.
You
and all
give
these
them
things.
a grocery bag full of receipts.
Right.
There's a software thing where people scan
Yeah.
them and then give somebody a file.
Yeah, Yellow told me about that, and I said, okay, yeah, great. And
You give them a bag of receipts.
yeah, I've gotten better over the years. I kind of will now organize the chaos a little bit for him.
Yeah.
But he's green, and whatever I give him, he just says okay. He
Oh.
does, I don't think he cares.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been
If
trying
he
to help.
does, you don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that's true.
He wouldn't show you.
No, he wouldn't show me. So anyway, I've been trying to make it easier for him, but it's good that he's a green and not a yellow, because
Right.
a yellow would have dropped me already. They wouldn't even take my money.
yeah,
It costs
probably.
money I pay this guy.
Yeah.
But a yellow wouldn't even take my money.
And he'd be like, you're not worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. All
And
right.
greens are a little more old school, so that's probably why a little
Yeah.
bit. Okay, so greens in general, they're very independent. They're very lone wolf. They think they communicate. They sure do think they do. I would say this is where I have to make a men versus women distinction. Women greens communicate a lot better than men greens. I think that's just because society and its programming. Green auras, to deal with them the best, I feel like you just have to really be okay, how do you think? And kind of meld with their mindset. There's definitely a way of thinking that makes sense to them. And if you have to deal with them for a short amount of time, it might be worth just understanding how they see the world so that you can kind of just maneuver within that for what you have to deal with them for. I call it, I've talked about this a million times. There's the 10 commandments of the green. I call it green auras. They all do this. They make these commandments in their head, like some sort of laurels that are true in their world. And these are things that are pillars of their belief system, and they never shift them. Some of them are more open and, self-aware than others. So if you have to deal with somebody who has these 10 commandments, they can make them very stubborn, is my point. And basically, kind of like yellows, their way is always correct.
Yeah. And what about what about reds? Because I have beliefs and I believe those things, and it's hard to get me off those. What's the difference between a 10 commandments of the green versus the reds? I guess I don't have the list of the commandments.
Reds are more character based.
Okay.
So I noticed the pillars with the red, or the commandments of red, have to do with everything goes back to like respect, like even like reds on the road, you know, let's go through real quick. This is a great example. Reds driving, yellow driving, green driving. Okay. Reds, somebody cuts you off. That is so rude. Who does it? They didn't even use their blinker, and then like the rage. Okay. A yellow gets cut off, right? All of a sudden it's like, that's not the rule of the road. They did that from the wrong side. That's actually, and then I can see the yellow also like taking note of it and just kind of judging them for it.
And their car isn't washed.
That's the other thing. Okay. Yeah. And they're like, and look how dirty their car is.
Okay. Greens
would be like, but that's not how the system works. That doesn't make sense. You know, that is against the system. They need another lane here. They need to figure this out. Then almost they take it off the person. Like it's not the person personally did this to them. It's like there's something wrong with the system of the road here. That if you did this, then that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, okay.
Does that make sense?
Makes 100% sense.
Okay. And they do that with everything.
Green blues.
Green blues. So why is it, if you're dealing with a green blue and you don't not want to, but you're stuck with it. I think like an unself-aware green blue, they're very quiet and they can be a bit robotic and they can be very difficult to connect with. They tend to kind of just go mute on you. They have like screensaver vibes. So it's like, hello, Earth to you. Like, do you have a thought? Do you have an opinion? Do you have what's going on? You know, whatever. And they won't talk unless they have something they have to say. And when I say have to say, it is like, unless they really got to say it, they won't.
Okay.
So that can be really difficult to work with somebody like that. And it can be really difficult. Oh, and by the way, they think they're as clear as day. They think that you should already know these things unless you're a complete idiot. That's the other thing. Okay. So they can be a little bit like, they don't have a lot of understanding that other people think different or have different perspectives.
All right.
So that's a difficult like green blue to deal with.
That'd be tough. Yeah.
You have to get into their mind. You have to, like, if you're dealing with somebody and you don't want to, but you have to, it's kind of best to be like, all right, well, they think it's like learning another language. It's like they think this, therefore this is what they're doing. Okay, so this is the way I can talk to them.
Yeah. I mean, and again, from my perspective, being a red, yellow, I could converse with and understand where they're coming from a lot better than a green sometimes. Like a green, sometimes I'm confused and I'll just be like, okay, and just like move on and not really know what they're saying.
They speak in absolutes sometimes too.
And sometimes I don't even care. But but so with the yellow, I think it's easier to communicate. Even if I'm just like, I don't want to hear about your spreadsheet stuff.
Right.
But I understand why that's right.
You understand it.
I understand it. I'm not going to do it, but I get it.
Right.
I respect it. It's just not for me. The yellow sometimes doesn't understand that it's not for you, but we can have that conversation. With the green, it's harder. I understand what you're saying here. It's harder to have that conversation.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what I'm dealing with, like a green blue.
They don't even understand the purpose of having a conversation.
Right.
Like, they don't always find the value in connection, other people's perspectives, or making your perspective clear.
Right.
They don't connect with that when they're not self-aware.
Okay.
So.
Interesting. All right. What would be the difference then between the green indigo versus the green blue?
So a green indigo, just like when I was talking about like red indigos, like the indigo is going to lead it with the green. And I think like green indigos can be difficult to deal with if you're dealing with one that you don't want to, because they can be a little bit emo in a way. So like green indigos and green blue indigos too, they can get a little bit like in their feels and a little bit kind of like Eeyore vibes. So it's like, that's the way it is, and there's no other way it can be. So their 10 commandments, when I talk about that, can be very pessimistic. And you're like, well, it doesn't have to work that way. You know, a lot of times, there's nothing worse than a green out of a job. Okay, so like that, I read this all the time. There's nothing worse than a green man out of a job. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Because green women, you guys are like, well, I don't know, I just made the whole backyard into a garden and it all worked out. Okay. Unemployment's okay, you know. Right. But green men, it's like, I have no purpose, you know. They need to feel busy all the time. That's the thing with greens. Like, keep them busy and they're good. You know, if they're not busy, it's like, oh man, you know, like that. So, long story short, when you're dealing with the green indigo, I know a lot of times they can get into, I guess, for lack of a better word, like very sad episodes. and they can get very stuck in their sadness. And then that becomes the reality of the world for them. And that's how the world works. And there's no other way the world can work. See, the thing with greens is they have to be correct. More so, I talked about yellows having to be correct even more because they have to solidify the system. It's like, this is how it works. This is the way it is. So if in my mindset, everything's sad, that doesn't mean I did anything wrong. That just means it's the way it is. Okay. You know?
Yeah.
So if I got rid of, if I'm not working right now, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with me or anything I have to work on or any other avenues I need to take or any new things I need to learn. That means that the world is messed up and this is just the way it is for me. Boo-hoo.
Okay.
So they can get a little stuck in their feels. They can get stuck in the indigo. They can get stuck in the reclusiveness. Green indigos are the ones I'll see like go off the grid most of the time. And so they can also be difficult to deal with if you want to. Family members, like the green indigos, I want to connect with you. Stop running away. Stop every time there's a family get together. You don't show up, which is fine. And I get it, but you have to at least text me, so it's just, you got to kind of sometimes tell them from my own feelings, I need you to show up for me like that.
Okay. This is, just ask this question.
Yeah.
This is a little bit off topic, but would a green indigo be like man or woman? Would they be like really good at like musical things, like maybe like playing the piano to a certain level, or the guitar to a certain level, or songwriting to a certain level? Would that be a characteristic, do you think?
Yeah.
Like because they have that combo that might make them so systematic at learning, let's say, the guitar, and then you have the indigo there, the emotion. It seems like a good combo for that.
Green indigos are great. So any
and I know it's a little bit off topic.
No, this is actually good because I think the green indigos wanted more on being green indigo.
Okay.
So this is like, this is off topic because this is like green indigos, not
curious.
just difficult ones.
No,
any aura color can like play instruments and be good at it.
No,
I think
course.
greens in general, though, they have a better kind of ability to hear by sound, or kind of like greens are also good at math this way too.
Yeah.
Like they just know it. You ever be in math class with a kid that's just like, it's 22 and you're like, how? And they can't tell you how. They're like that with instruments too. Okay. If they're musical, they're like, I just pick up the guitar. I know how to play it. Like how? I don't know. I just play, but I just heard it and I played it.
Yeah,
like they just do it. But green indigos, what you're talking about, they're very like poetic.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like songwriter maybe.
And that's the thing. Like when you're talking, and that's the other. That's what I was getting at with the green indigos. They're very deep. They get kind of stuck in their feels. They go off grid. They're like, this is the way the world is. You get sucked in. You're like, well, tell me about it. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm so depressed, but it feels so good.
Right.
Like they write great stories. They tell great tales.
I think so.
They're very poetic.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm on that. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Green purples.
So I think green purples, why are they like a little difficult to deal with? They think they're right. They're usually in charge. They do not want to hear it at all. They're very tunnel visioned about their whatever they're doing. They're very tunnel visioned about it. And if you say anything that doesn't fit into the difficult ones, if you say something like, hey, I noticed this is off, or I noticed you made this mistake, or like whatever, they just brush past it, or they ignore you or whatnot. They can be also attention seeking, and they can also be really big on like how things appear versus how they are. So like, let's say this is your boss or whatever, like he doesn't want to hear it. He doesn't want to hear the reality of your day. You better just tell him everything that he needs it to be. And so it's like, oh my God, he doesn't listen. No, he doesn't. He doesn't listen, like that. Or if it's like somebody in your family, you might all of a sudden realize like they don't care who I am or how I feel or how I've grown or how I've evolved. They just care that I make them feel good in their own reality that they prefer. And that's true. Yes, that's right. So it's just very much dismissive if it doesn't fit into what they want it to be.
Okay. Now, a lot of times on this show, we've talked about green purples, especially the men. And it seems like, I don't know, they have addictive personalities.
They do. Yeah.
And they get into trouble,
That's true.
with those sorts of things.
Yeah.
So let's say you're dealing with someone like that, a green purple.
Yeah.
And they have this addictive personality to whatever the addiction might be.
Yeah.
Is there a best way to deal with them?
I would say but I've never done I need to do an episode on addiction. I've never done one on that. I think I've said this before. Greens are whenever I read somebody with addiction, it's like, oh, the greens, those are the hardest.
Yeah.
The green purples.
The green purple.
Purples.
I'm not saying that's the only one, but that seems on this show.
Anybody can have addiction issues. Green purples are the ones that it's hardest to get them to bounce out of it.
Yeah.
Because of the 10 Commandment thing.
Right.
Right. And almost like if you stick around with them long enough, you're like, yeah, I guess that's the only way to be, like they're very convincing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so green purples, yeah, they can have so if you're dealing with somebody who have been addicted to anything, not just substances, it could be, whatever their thing is. Right. I feel like a big thing is they don't want to hear it, and they will push you out. And I think the other reason why green purples are difficult to deal with is they'll do Control Alt Delete. They'll just delete you. Delete.
Right.
I mean, even if you're a family member,
they're probably going to the end of this thing. They're going to take this road ends when they say this road ends.
Yeah. So if this is your boss, now they can do this. We're talking about difficult green purples today, like difficult or account code, like 100%.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
All right. What about green turquoises?
Green turquoises or green coises, as we call them. Is there a difference between green turquoise and green cois? Maybe sometimes. I don't know. It's turquoise. Sometimes the turquoise is like, I'm going to meld with you with the green. And sometimes the turquoise is like, no, I'm my own person today. Okay. Because that's what being a green turquoise is. I would say green turquoises. Oh, why are they difficult to deal with? Oh, usually they're so lovely. I would say green.
So that's a nicer combo, an easier combo to deal with.
They're just they're just so chill. I feel like, what is it? They're a little aloof. How about that? Green coises. I just like to say green coises. Green coises are a little aloof. If you have to deal with one and you don't really want to, you might be like, did you even hear me? Maybe they didn't. Maybe they did. I don't know. They're not going to they don't always give you a lot of feedback. They tend to say what they think, pretty honest, not in a mean way, but in an honest way. And sometimes honesty isn't always like, okay, that wasn't necessary. Okay, thanks. So they can give you a little unsolicited feedback at times. But usually they're tough to deal with because they're just not giving you anything. They're kind of a little airy. Okay. And they can kind of just whatever, they poof out on you.
All right.
But I can't really say much more than that. They're not usually they don't come after you. They're not vindictive. They just, if anything, they're just hard to, did you hear me? Did that make sense? Okay. Are we good?
Okay.
Like that.
One of the easier combos to deal with, maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, all right. So now that we've covered all the combos, I'm sticking with red blues are the easiest to get along with. Which combo would you say?
Well, it really does.
Other than these green turquoises.
It depends on your own combo and what triggers you.
Okay.
And triggering can be from your own aura combination, from your programming, from how you grew up. The easiest?
Red blue.
Well, of course, the red blue. Yeah. But if I was going to pick a second, I would say yellow blues. I have no problem with the yellow blues or the yellow. Yeah, I think yellow blues for me.
Blue,
I mean, I went off on them, but honestly, usually I can make a yellow blue crack with my purple indigo way.
All right.
I'm yeah, tell me what you want.
All right. So if you're a double empath sitting there listening to this episode, which is probably the bulk of our listenership.
Yes.
Don't worry. We are going to do an episode for you and cover all the double empath combos.
How to deal with them.
Yes.
All right. Well, this podcast is for you and about you, and we're so glad you spent some time with us today.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.